Hey guys, this is the Anythingers podcast with your host, Glass Bass and KCQ, where we discuss, anything.
Hey guys, welcome back. I am your girl KCQ.
And I am the great Glass Bass after a while.
Ha ha ha. We are back with another episode. Today's topic is weird wars. What the hell did people do in the last couple 100 or 200 years? What did they fight over? What the hell is going on?
We're not talking regular wars in this sense. We're talking more.
Yeah, we're not talking like Civil War or World War II or World War I or like the Revolution. We're talking about some pretty weird wars that not many people are familiar with. Unless you're a historian, then you probably know about this one or these.
Let's say most people are mostly aware of wars that actually happen on a more global scale. And then there's regular little wars, but we're talking more about wars that have been fought for reasons that are
we're talking about the wars that they didn't really put in the history books. Because I don't remember learning about either one of these wars in the history books. They should put these in history books, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, we're just gonna go into it. We're gonna start with Glass Bass today.
Now, this starts all the way back in the 1930s in the land down under, also known as Australia, the land of where all dangerous animals go to. Sorry, Aussie, you have dangerous animals. Yes, they do.
But they have cuddly kangaroos.
A kangaroo? That's the only good thing they have. They have like poisonous spiders. They have snakes that bite your balls off. They have like.
I mean, but like spiders are everywhere.
No, not the spiders of Australia, and they're birds too. They have like birds that can kick your guts open. I heard, but yeah, sure.
Ew. All right.
But I don't think that is the bird what they call the emu, which happened to be the subject of this war. Yes. Apparently, yeah, no. That's actually happened. There's no such thing as a word called apparently because this happened. So back in 1932, farmers were trying to grow crops around in Australia, and it's hard to grow crops in Australia. Apparently, okay, it's real. The point was, though, there's too many emus, and emus are screwing up the crops, so someone has to do something about the emu problem. The emu has become a pest. Massive birds.
We have to kill them.
Yeah, massive. They're like little massive big birds screwing up your food. So,
ew. I can't imagine. That's scary, honestly. Anyway.
and they look kind of cute, actually. They're kind of cute. If you're looking at emu,
they're
not
weird looking. I'm looking at a picture of them. They look like nightmare fuel, honestly. They have dandruff in their hair. This looks like me waking up in the morning.
Okay, yeah. So I just found out the name of a bird that kick your guts open. They're called cassowaries. They're not emus. It's a different big bird. Except one of them, it's more anything. The other one will kill you with the claw up your gut with one kick. So yeah, Australia, what's wrong with you when you have like dangerous birds? But I'm not gonna mention this war, which I was gonna get into. So anyway, they have crop issues. There are too many emus, and so what they had to do was, so apparently a bunch of Australians thought it would be a good idea to do something about the problem because it is a problem. And so what they did was they sent a bunch of ex-soldiers to the region where they're having too many emus, and they basically had like Lewis machine guns with like how many rounds of ammunition? Oh yeah, they also had about 2,500 rounds of ammunition for the Lewis machine gun, and you think it would be an easy thing to do, right? To just shoot little big birds, and most people would think that's easy to do because it's just a big bird. How hard can it be? Just shoot them, and as it turned out, it's not that easy. So
Oh no.
the second they fire on them, every single one of them runs really fast and like in different directions. And they also have there's an emu group, right? So one of the emus starts a lookout. And if anyone shot at them, every single one of the emu runs away all over the place. It got to the point where you have to spend like 150, 200 rounds or more just to even kill one emu effectively at that point. So, yeah. Not to mention that they keep on doing this, and so doing it from a ground position wasn't going to work because the emus ran away, right? So they had the idea to get on a truck or whatever they did. They had a truck or a car, whatever, and they had a mounted machine gun in the back because emus they run fast, the big birds. So what they did was they drove around, tried to shoot down all the emu with a mounted machine gun in the back, but that wouldn't work if it wasn't for the fact that one of the emu crashed into the car and got the head stuck in the steering wheel, which stopped the car.
God.
Yeah, that happened. The emu's head got stuck in the steering wheel. One of them did.
Oh, Jesus. Holy fuck. Oh, man, I'm just like imagining this all playing out in my head. Just these guys and they're in their trucks and they're chasing the birds with the machine guns in the back. And it's like, bah, 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 bah. Birds just like, that is quite a like that. I'm imagining it all playing out in my head right now. And
yeah. Not to mention this was 6 days of this. 6 days of like 3 or 4 ex-soldiers, if I recall, machine gunning down emus. But while they did kill some birds, it was nowhere near what they thought it would work. So I'll sum up a quote from an ornithologist. Basically, what's the aftermath of the 6-day war? I'll quote it here. All right. So basically, this is what happened. The machine gunners dreamed of point blank fire into several masses of emus were soon disappearing. The emu command had evidently ordered guerrilla tactics, and its unwieldy army soon split up into innumerable small units that made use of the military equipment economic. A crestfallen field force therefore withdrew from the combat area after a month.
They couldn't get the fucking birds, so they were like, fuck this shit, bro. That's funny as fuck. I love humans sometimes. It's just like you can't expect a gun to do your bidding.
Yeah.
It's like some animals are just smarter than an actual gun. Like a gun is not smart. The gun is controlled by whatever person is using it. It could be a very dumb person using a gun.
Yeah, the emus, they're not the smartest
The irony.
but in this case, they beat the humans. Yeah. But,
they were just too goddamn fast for those bullets. The emos were like, bye, bitch, we're out of here. You guys are sucky.
So there's more.
You guys can suck our emu dick.
So, yeah, there's more aftermath quote stuff here. So basically, the quote from here...
Oh, God, there's more.
Yeah, keep going. I'm gonna keep on. On the 8th of November, the Australian House of Representatives discussed the military operation. Now, following the humiliating negative coverage of the war in the local media, which declaimed that only a few emus have died.
A few? Only a few emus.
Yep. Sir George Pierce withdrew the military personnel and the guns. Now, Major Meredith compared the emus to Zulu, and he commented on how well they did, even though they're badly wounded. And this is what he said, quote unquote. If we had a military division with the bullet carrying capacity of these birds, it would face any army in the world. They can face machine guns with the invulnerability of tanks. They are like Zulus, whom even Gum Gum Boa could not stop.
Damn.
Quote unquote.
Wow.
Well, not to mention that was basically the first attempt. However,
Oh God, there's more.
yeah, there's even more attempt. That was like the first attempt. So the second attempt was more successful, and it was claimed that basically 986 birds were killed, and a further 2,500 had died from injury. Basically, more of it, but like that's not enough. How many emu would before this? So they killed like what 2,500 emus compared to
Jesus.
20,000.
I mean, but did they have to kill all those birds? Couldn't they just like make them move? I don't know. You could.
They didn't really kill that much bird at all.
I know that 2,500 is not a. I mean, wait, how many? 1,000? So like around. I don't know. They didn't kill a lot of birds, but like
20,000 birds, and they killed
rounded
25.
them up or something, or put them in a truck and just move them to a different spot. I don't know. Just like, yeah, round up the dudes and get the truck and just put those motherfuckers in a car and just fucking.
That's not gonna work.
Put them in over there.
They're just gonna run into you and jam up your steering wheel. They just.
Get their head stuck in your. Careful, kids! You might get your head stuck in a steering wheel and kill yourself. Jesus Christ!
It's just that, like, we lost against
by a bunch
big
of
birds.
fucking birds.
Big birds. Why?
Wait, is Big Bird an emu?
Emu, yeah, we lost against emus.
No. But is Big Bird from Sesame Street an emu?
No, actually, come to think of it, I don't know. But
he might be an emu because he's so abnormally large, and emus are very large.
There may be a correlation, except emus don't have arms.
Yeah,
like big birds.
Of course they don't have like. Of course, yeah. Well, fucking Big Bird is like a human-sized bird man. So duh. That's just terrifying.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That was basically the one war where it's not sad, where it's not like, what's the word? This is a war where, is it really a war? Apparently it is, and the bird won. I would say it's more of a war where you just laugh at it, just for like, it's just, I mean, why? Like, I mean, yeah, emus won this war. Australians are now forever embarrassed by the memory of the Great Emu War and how they couldn't even stand up to a few birds.
That's hilarious as fuck. I love that. Oh man. All right. Now it is my turn.
Your turn for your weird warriors of the game.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go with the least exciting one, which is the least exciting one, because we always want to save the best for last.
True.
Duh. And so I'm going to be talking about the Anglo-Zanzibar War of 1896. This war is the shortest war in history because it lasted only 38 minutes.
I've seen video game sessions longer than this war, is what you're saying.
Yeah, my alarm, my snooze button lasts longer than this. Anyway, so in 1896, you have colonies from Africa, and there is like, there is France, there's Britain, there's Germany, and they like have certain territories in Africa dominated. So basically, the Africans were like, we're sick of your shit. So they revolted against like the people, and then this was like, I think this was after World War II. And then the African nations, that after the World War II, the African nations, they gained independence from the European colonials that were, taking the territory or whatever the fuck. And so then the Anglo-Zanzibar War, that was a part of the colonial thing. So this guy, he was a British sultan. His name was Hamad bin Thuwani, and he died in 1896. So his cousin seized the throne. And then the British... Wait, hold on.
Was it basically a case of the British didn't want their own pro hair to take over instead of theirs?
Basically. So basically, there was rumors that started, and then because the original guy who was the Sultan, he died, so his cousin took over. So the rumor started that that the new Sultan had poisoned the old one, the new one didn't agree with the British rule, and he wanted to be like the main bitch up in the peak. In order to keep make more money, I guess, and also keep the slave trade that existed in Africa. So they started to abolish slave trade altogether, and then that coincided with his interests or whatever, because he didn't agree with the British one. He didn't agree with the British colonies or whatever in Africa. So he wanted to, I guess he agreed with it being abolished. And so then, so the British government then wanted this guy in place of the Sultan, and they gave this guy till 9 a.m. on August 27th, 1896, because there was too much shit that was erupting while this guy was in power. So they were like, all right, well, you got until 9 a.m. on this date to completely give up your throne to the pro-British heir. So the British were like, oh no, we're giving it to somebody else because you are fucking it up. So this guy, Khalid, thought the British were fucking around. He thought they were bluffing. So he was like, oh, whatever, fuck them, they're not gonna do shit. So he basically got all of his troops and his guards or whatever. They got their guns and shit, and then he had 5 British Royal Navy ships, and these Navy ships were like the shit. They were like heavy artillery. They were good. They were sturdy. They were strong. These were the best. And he basically had them surrounded around his palace on his harbor or whatever the fuck. So he had.
Wait. What's his navy? What's the other guy's navy? What's his ship again?
So he had 5 British Royal Navy ships, and they were the best in the world. These things were like the shit.
I meant the other side, not the British. Of course, the British had good ship. What was the other side's navy?
The other side. So the guy. All right, you made me completely lose track of where I was. So the British government gave Khalid a certain time to succeed his throne, which is they wanted another pro-British heir to get it because this guy was like he wasn't British, I guess. He's like Middle Eastern or something. He
doesn't have pro-British interests at heart, okay? That's why they're angry.
Basically, and he was against the British colonials or whatever the fuck. So the British were like, oh no, bro, you can't do that. Fuck you. Get the fuck out. So anyway, he had Royal Marines and sailors and shit, and he had them waiting on the shore to await his orders. And Harry Rawson was one of the commanding officers. So anyway, this is how it started. Now, again, Khalid thought that the British government was fucking bluffing. He thought they were just talking up a bunch of shit, but they weren't. So at exactly 9 a.m., Khalid is still fucking choosing to basically admit or realize that the British government isn't fucking bluffing, or it's real shit. So basically, the British bombardment began. They had fucking guns at Khalid's ships. They were bombing it. They were shooting it, and unfortunately, there was some wooden like structures in the boat that obviously at that time boats weren't as sturdy, so the wooden structures in the boat did not stand a chance against the British, who had fucking bombs and guns and shit popping at his ass.
Oh, wait, yeah.
Anyway.
That ship, okay, so Khalid was the guy that was trying to resist in the first place. So his whole navy is basically one ship, the Glasgow. And get this, it was a luxury yacht given to him by Queen Victoria.
Hello?
It wasn't even meant for fighting.
What are you doing? This is my story, bro. I'm telling it like I'm telling it. So me adding curse words and profanity and hyping it up is just my way of explaining it. Don't take over. Anyway, so Khalid's lone ship was the Glasgow, and this yacht or his ship was basically a gift from Queen Victoria, because she's rich as fuck, and because it wasn't fit for the fighting, and it also was not, it wasn't gonna stand in the fucking war. So that was the only one that was left. And then St. George, under Rawson's command, laid waste to Glasgow and rescued its crew. So the crew got saved. Yay. And then 38 minutes, the Khalid's troops fled the scene, and then the war was over, basically. The German consulates requested asylum, and then Khalid during World War I, and basically in exchange for what had happened, they basically were like, all right, well, you got to give up your throne, and he had to go live in exile, and basically that was his claim, to renounce his claim, and then to the Sultanate, and then he had to go. So British and pro-British Zanzibari forces, they had a fighting force of 1,000, and then the pro-Khalid forces had 500 dead out of 3,000, and this was basically 3-1, and the British forces were too well equipped, and yeah, the British were just had too much firepower going on, and Khalid just didn't think ahead. And then after that, after the British took control, the Britain outlawed slavery in Zanzibar a year later, and then get this, Zanzibar, a Britain hold on Zanzibar remained for another 67 fucking years. And then this basically survived through World War I and World War II. And the whole British colonialism lasted on Zanzibar and until 1963, and then Zanzibar merged with the Republic of Tanganyika. Yeah. Sorry, Tanganyika, and then soon that country became Tanzania. So yeah, so it eventually got a happy ending, even though there was almost another 67 years of war in the midst, over the fucking Khalid, fucking dumbass.
Yeah. That was basically the shortest war they ever had.
Basically, and it could have it could have been prevented if the dude was like, all right, well, I'm not gonna underestimate the British power, so I'm just gonna have these people be ready for an attack. So he should have just like believed that the British were gonna come at 9 a.m. But he didn't. And he instead of getting like the most strongest ships, he got like these derp ships. And he had his like nice ship from like his nice gift ship out there on the front lines. But yeah, that was the that was the Anglo Zanzibar War. Pretty interesting war, shortest war in history.
People had arguments longer than in this war. I've had
people took longer shits than 38 minutes. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. But yeah, so
now it's my turn. Now we are going back to basically Latin America in the era of like 1969, 1970, so to speak. And as you may well know, soccer, as we Americans would normally call football in Latin America. Very, 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 it's basically like how we're upset about our football, American football. That's how upset they are with their football, soccer. Sometimes, okay, basically their football, soccer. Anyway.
Yes.
But yes, but basically it was two countries, Honduras and El Salvador, and they didn't really like each other, not a whole lot. It was basically a whole lot of bad blood between the both of them. Yeah, bad blood between both countries. So, and it doesn't help the fact that they tend to become massive fanboys over their own countries at soccer games. You know what? I'm just going to say soccer because if I keep on saying football, I may get confused.
It's football.
What's the okay?
It's pronounced a different way than football because football that we know is football with like people foot. Football is like the Latin equivalent. It's not foot. It's foot.
Football. Let me get this right. Football.
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 Basically.
You know what I'm talking about. Football. Yeah. Jesus. All right. The point was there's a bad blood between Honduras and El Salvador, and we're talking about like the 1970s World Cup held in Mexico, but basically, yeah. Normally you would have fans of these countries. Yeah, I mean they would get rowdy. Yes. Usually they would get pissed off. Usually they punch each other in the face, and that's about it. But no. In this case, an actual war starting off because of the fact that basically Honduras won one game, and then the second game, Salvador won that one, and then even more violence followed. Every time one side won like a football game, they beat the crap out of each other, even more violent. And then now there was a playoff match after those like 32 games in which El Salvador won this one. So basically, Honduras lost, Salvador won in the soccer game. However, what's even more crazy is that, yeah, as you may realize, they're already beating the crap out of each other in the second game, right? It's only going to get worse. So, the same day after Salvador like won the game, basically, they dissolved all diplomatic ties with Honduras. And they basically said that no, Honduras, you get genocide. It's gonna be and get reparation or damages called the Salvadorian. They're basically like saying you guys suck. We're not gonna talk to you anymore. In other words, because of yeah, wow. And oh my God, they had the freaking Air Force. They actually sent the Salvadorian Air Force attack target inside Honduras, and they caught their Air Force off guard, and then the Salvadoran army invaded Hungary, and they were fighting. They were legit fighting each other.
Over
From-
football.
over. No, we're talking like Air Forces. We're talking like gun. We're talking like basically 4 days.
Damn.
This was 4 days of fighting that started from like July 14th to July 18th. So basically 4 days of fighting, 4 days of brutality. And it all started from football. Yeah, football. Yeah. I mean, it's not funny in the sense that, yeah, people died. People.
I mean, no, like, obviously it's not, I'm not laughing because of that's fucked up that people actually had to die over something so minor as a sport. I'm laughing over the fact that they actually they actually wanted to fight because somebody was winning more than an act. That's kind of stupid. I'm laughing over the stupidity of it all. Not actually the part where people died. That's fucked up.
Yeah, basically, there was like I said, they had bad blood, like something about El Salvador was overpopulated, and let's see, Hungary team, Hungary, a lot of, so basically, a lot of Salvadorian live in Hungary. Many of them were shop owners, and the problem was, and then the other side, Hungary, ransacked the shop, started beating the crap out of each other, and it was a shit show. It was just a massive shit show. And then you have like the Hungarian army was like running around with machetes and old rifles, and they're fighting the Salvadorians who had Belgian-made automatic weapons. In other words, and good God, oh yeah, the Salvadorian army, they weren't disciplined as it turned out. They exhausted the entire supply of ammunition in the first 15 minutes of the war. The entire supply of ammunition was spent in 15 minutes for the whole army. The Salvadoran in this case. So yeah, and now they have no more ammo. The guns are useless, and now they're beating the crap out of each other with machetes at that point. And now, yeah, how did this war end? Good God, it should keep on going and ongoing and ongoing, and basically, good God, there you go. That's the football wall for you. The football wall. It's essentially a case of a war where both sides had bad blood, but I didn't expect it to be starting over something as fanboyish as like football, a football competition, so to speak.
Yeah.
Your turn on your side.
All right, guys. Now we have the last weird war of the podcast. We are going to go 175 years into the past with the pastry war. So basically, the pastry war, not the pastry roll. As bomb as that sounds, I would love a pastry roll, but this is the pastry war. Yes, I said pastry war. Anyway, this is a pastry war between France and Mexico. No, I did not know that France and Mexico even had one, but let's get going, shall we? So basically, again, the pastry war was between Mexico and France, and but even before like this war, Mexico was like Mexico had basically gained independence from Spain, and then they were fighting, and then rebels played the country, and they did a lot of bad shit. And so basically, there was a ransacking of a bakery near Mexico City owned by a French-born pastry chef known as Remontel. So basically, the Mexican government was trying to get some compensation for the damage caused by the looting from the Mexican officers. And then the French-born pastry chef basically took his case directly to his native country in France with King Louis Philippe. So then the pastry chef was like, you know, they were like, all right, well, tell us what happened. So the French government was like, basically just like fucking pissed because the Mexico had basically occurred in had basically had like unpaid debt to them, and then during the Texas Revolution in 1836, and French government was like, oh no, we're not having any of that shit. We want compensation. So we were like 600,000 pesos. And that was basically 60,000 pesos from the French dude's pastry shop, which had been basically less than 1,000 pesos. So
how much bread can you buy? What?
So basically, Mexican Congress was like, oh, fuck no. Fuck you. We're not doing it. So the French Navy was like, all right, you know what? Spring of 18... the French Navy began a blockade along the Gulf of Mexico from Yucatan Peninsula to the Rio Grande. And then the United States, who had a relationship with Mexico, sent what is a schooner? I don't know what a schooner is. Basically sent one of those to assist in the blockade. So anyway, this dragged on till November 27, 1938. And then the French basically was bombarding the islands of like San Juan, de Ula, and they guarded port city of Veracruz. And then Mexico declared a war on France. And the president of Mexico was like, you know, basically ordered a conscription of all men who could bear arms. And then I'm dying. Right? It's so weird. So basically, the French Marines raided the city and captured nearly the entire Mexican army. Damn, they wow. Yeah, I know. It gets weirder. Anyway, the invaders basically Mexico turned to the warrior, this war hero, this war warrior. His name was Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna, and he was also the former president and the military general who only had returned home after disgrace and humiliating defeat in the 1836 Battle of San Juan Cinto. Sorry if I'm butchering that anyway. And that basically led to other shit, which led to the creation and independent Republic of Texas. That's why, you know, little colonies of stuff. That's why yay, Mexicans. Anyway.
Good Lord.
So basically, this made him come out of retirement. And the general, he was basically so ruthless, and like he basically was so like freaking hardcore at the Battle of the Alamo, and he was basically really brutal in the Battle of the Alamo, and he left his Veracruz hacienda, and basically he got a makeshift army and drove the French forces from the city back to their ships. This guy who has been retired basically got his own army and was like, fuck this shit, we're going to
Wow.
we are going to go put these motherfuckers back from where they came from so they don't fuck with us because this is our land. He came out of his freaking nice freaking hacienda to go, you know, basically shoo away like the French armies or whatever. So anyway, Santa Anna after the invaders fired what after the invaders they fired like grape shots because like I guess this is when they still had like little like if you want a history lesson, kids, before they actually had bullets, guns were required gunpowder. So you put these pellets in the gun nozzle or whatever, and then you do that, and then you fucking mix it up with like a metal rod or whatever, and you just like stuff it in there or whatever, and then you shoot it.
There was basically no
there was no bullets. Yeah, and bullets weren't made till like way later. So so this is what they used to do before they had bullets and cool guns. I mean, guns aren't cool, but anyway. After this, the grape shot fired from one of the ships under him, under Santa Ana, it basically wounded his leg severely, and the doctors, to the point where the doctor said that that his leg could not be saved, so they had to amputate his leg. And so and also I want to also mention that this leg was also buried with him at his hacienda.
Okay. That's interesting.
I'm not done yet. So then less than 4 months later, the pastry war was over, and then the British diplomats basically made a peace treaty with Mexico and agreed to pay France's demand of the $600,000 600,000 pesos that they owed them, also including the cost of the French pastry guy's shop. So they finally were like, okay, fine then, God, here you go, here's your money. And so then the French forces basically completely withdrew from the country on March 9th, 1939. And then they, basically would return a protracted war with Mexico in the 1860s. So they eventually came back. Fuck. And so then basically Santa Ana again. Fuck. God damn it.
Wow.
Basically Santa Ana. Hold on. I'm not done. So basically Santa Ana lost his leg during the war. And then blah 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 blah. The people basically, now he called himself Napoleon of the West, basically, and he wasn't. It says right here that he wasn't shy to remind Mexicans that he had sacrificed a limb for his country. So he was like, "Yeah, I lost a limb. So what? I'm a badass. I don't have a leg." So basically, again. After he once again assumed the presidency, because he was like a general military whatever, he basically assumed presidency again over his original role. And then Santa Ana exhumed. Wait a minute. Oh, sorry. So I want to clarify when I said that. When I said that he was buried with his leg, I meant to say that they buried his leg at the hacienda. He was still alive. So he went back to get his limb from his country.
Wow.
He went to go to his hacienda.
He was willing to sacrifice his leg.
I'm not done yet. So he went to go get his leg from his country, and then he came back and whatever. And then basically, like, his leg was all shriveled up and all of that. And then he basically made a parade in Mexico City, and then basically put it in it's like a tomb, I guess, a cemetery monument. And it was very elaborate. Very elaborate, and it included cannon, salvos, poetries, and also a lot of ornate objects. So he basically had a very fancy and expensive funeral for his leg.
All hail his leg. His leg, my new
But
dog.
his leg didn't actually stay in the ground because somebody, a rioter or something, basically tore down a statue of Santa Ana and dug up his leg, and then they tied it to a rope and dragged it through the streets of Mexico City while shouting "Death to the cripple." Yes.
What?
And then finally, Santa Ana had to leave Mexico in exile. And then United States declared war on his homeland of Mexico City in 1846. And then because somebody stole his leg, he was basically had to go back to his service in the Mexican-American War. And then during the Battle of Cerro Gordo in 1847, the Illinois attacked. Well, Santa Ana took a lunch break, and then one of his horses escaped, and then he left like something in his carriage, and it was like a prosthetic cork in his leg, I guess. And the Illinois soldiers took his fucking leg.
What the hell?
This poor man. He already had one leg. They took his leg and then they made it a trophy piece that toured at country fairs. And basically it also fell into the hands of the Illinois State Military Museum. And then the Mexican government had made repeated requests to so basically even after that the freaking Mexican government was like, hey, we want the leg back from Santa Ana, but it still is at the Illinois State Capitol of Spring Fair as a unique war relic. They were like, nope, you can't have his leg back, fuck you.
Wow.
This poor man, like he was general, like president general, like of the military, basically retired, went back to go relax and go into fucking thing, and then was forced to go back into war and lost his leg. And then somebody took his leg again.
And not to mention his leg have its own story. The leg got his
And
own
his
story.
leg also has his own story. Oh my God. And this was all started because some French dude was like, the French dude was like, hey, they stole my stuff. I want compensation. But yeah, that was the pastry war. And good God, that was funny. I feel really bad for Santa Ana. Like, good God, that poor man.
God bless the leg. There'll be a national anthem in the name of that leg, wherever this leg is.
I mean, if you want to see this man's leg, it is in the Illinois State Capitol of Springfield. So you can go down there and you can go see Santa Ana's leg for yourself.
Yep. You can see the leg, the legend for yourself.
Yes. Basically. This poor man lost his leg twice.
What? Wow. What?
And he had a funeral for his leg. He had a fucking funeral for his leg. That is what a badass would do. I would totally have a funeral for my leg if people love me that much. People would actually go to my funeral for my leg.
People love big legs so much. The leg was like an artifact of God. That was like the whole...
I mean, like, I don't think, like, people, like, actually was, like, with him when he... Like, we're like, oh, yeah, man, we're totally going to support your funeral with your leg. He basically threw it on himself, I guess, and made it a really big thing. I don't know. But, like, yeah, his...
Okay, so at this point, what war you think was the weirdest at this point? I'm voting for Emu.
Honestly, I have to say, yeah, like, Emu War, and I think all of them were, like, equally weird, but I think, like, I really like the pastry war because that is just it's such a weird war over pastry. I mean, it's sad that the French that the French pastry maker lost his things, but like because he lost his things, all this other shit started like happening, and the guy lost his leg. But like
it reminds me of something. Have you ever heard of the butterfly effect?
what?
The butterfly effect. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah, I heard about it in Silence of the Lambs, which is a great movie.
Yeah, well,
Please watch that
I
movie.
was thinking it was because of some bread get the whole war started, and there was some legendary story about some dude's leg, just because of some bread. And that's like the butterfly effect, because you get one thing, and it leads to all this crap.
Yeah.
But
yeah, like all these wars are pretty weird in themselves. I mean, you get a soccer war over like a sport, and innocent people had to die. That's fucked up. Then you get the pastry war, which was basically over bread. And then you get the emu war, which was birds, and they didn't even fucking win until the very end because those birds were smart.
The bird was smarter than the Australian soldiers. That's
That's sick. That is sick as fuck. That is so sick. I want to be a tree in my next life. So when I die, I want to be a tree. Or a bird. I wouldn't mind being a bird.
You want to be an emu? You want to see what happened in the Great Emu War?
I legitimately want to be a tree in my next life, not a bird. Like that's my first choice. If there's a bag that I have to pick through in order to get tree for my next life, I'll do that. But yeah, I really want to be a tree. I like trees.
I'm not sure about being a tree. You're stuck in one spot.
Trees are so cool.
Trees
are beautiful.
You can be a cat. You can be a jaguar. You can be.
I know, but trees are cool. I mean, like they help people breathe. They provide oxygen. Like kids climb all over them. Like you can just do so many. I don't want to be cut down. I just kind of.
Are you a tree hugger?
And whoa, look at that tree! It's so tall and so beautiful and majestic. And I'd be like, yeah, I'm fucking tree.
You might as well be the tallest tree in the world, the redwood.
And then also, like, trees provide like animal shelter, and like the smaller animals, they go up to the tree and they look for shelter because like the bigger animals are on the ground. Like, I'm gonna eat you, you know. And then like I give them a home. I'm basically like a little critter shelter. I'll be so awesome. Oh! I can't wait to be a tree.
We will reserve the talk about her dreams of being a tree in the next podcast, or perhaps as a bonus. And at this moment, Glass Bass here is signing off after talking about idiotic war. And see you next time on the podcast.
Also, stay tuned for a promotion from the Genuine Chit Chat. So stay there. Stay tuned for that. And we'll see you next week, guys. Bye. Are you looking for a podcast to interest you and make you stay for more? The Genuine Chit Chat podcast sounds like your route then. Join Mark as he has a variety of guests on discovering different topics from political correctness to movies. No topic is off limits. So if you want to hang out and listen to honest conversations with interesting people, then come on down to the Genuine Chit Chat podcast with Mike. Woo!